Welcome to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is April 19th, 2018. It's a Thursday evening. How's everyone doing tonight? Let's get right into some Grand Solar Minimum news. First, we'll take a look at our star. Our solar wind speeds are sitting at 339.9 kilometers per second with a density of a very thick 37.6. The slower the wind speeds, it's not unusual to see thicker density. Looking at our sun once again, 0 sunspots, but tons of active regions to speak of. 4 days in a row without a sunspot, totaling us now at 67 days for 2018 without a sunspot. Our KP indices are sitting at a 1 right now with a 24-hour max of 2. And here is our SDO looking at the coronal hole that is now Earth-facing, and we should see solar wind speeds start to pick up sometime into the night tonight and into tomorrow. Now, there is a 50% chance of a G1 class geomagnetic storm. However, it is a 50% just like most of the times, and it does not appear. And folks, I just want to add this as well. What's really encouraging about this Earth-facing coronal hole, it was pointed out to me earlier today as well, but it is closing up. So this could be a very minor, brief encounter with some solar wind stream. We are looking at a couple of different areas right now. The far eastern limb, right at the equatorial region, you'll notice a very active spot coming around the bend. Now, we've seen quite a few spots that are coming around from that limb of the sun, starting off as active regions. And as you see here, there was a couple that we've had that have deteriorated over the day. Checking out our TSI scores here. Right now we are sitting at a 1360.63, so it's dropped a little bit from the last time that we checked this. Now our last reading was from April 11th, 2018, as these are on an 8-day lag, so this is about as real time as we're ever going to get on the TSI data. But as you can see right here, from March 30th on, this is probably the biggest decline that we've had in our TSI. Go ahead into some articles that I found today that I wanted to share with everybody. Not that I am a fan of whether it's real or not, but I just found this article interesting, and it's called Shedding Light on Dark Matter. This is a small article here. Physicists claim they discovered a new material that may be able to directly detect dark matter. The material, known as scintillator, should be sensitive to dark matter that is lighter than a proton, allowing the search for dark matter to enter a largely unexplored mass range. Professor Stephen DeZero of the Electrical Engineering and Computer Sciences Lab at UC Berkeley said when the new scintillation detector is combined with cryogenic photodetector, which can detect light at very low temperatures, the result will be a workhorse useful in the search for dark matter in largely unexplored mass range. Astronomers have observed the galaxies rotate with such great speed that they should be torn apart, yet they are not. It is as if some hidden mass is holding galaxies together by exerting gravitational force on ordinary matter. This unknown mass is known as dark matter. Ordinary matter gives up only 5% of all content to the universe, whereas dark matter constitutes more than 25% of everything. The remaining 70% is known as dark energy, but no one has ever directly observed dark matter or dark energy, and that's the important part here to point out here right now. And that is, you know, one thing I've learned about certain things that you follow, and dark matter is one of those questionable topics where you can't see it, therefore you can't test it, you can't analyze it, and everything else. But I think it's interesting now. And I hope I think scintillation detector is what it's called. And this right here might be the new observation they needed to be able to detect dark matter. So interesting paper. We'll leave the link in the description. It's a short little article, but I wanted to bring this up. It's a new paper, and it just came out just yesterday. And some more encouraging news here. New Jersey. They've got some legislation now, and they are now it says within more than 2,000 megawatts of cumulative solar capacity installed. New Jersey is the nation's 5th largest solar state, according to the Solar Energy Industries Association. New legislation is designed to expand solar power in the state even further. The New Jersey legislature passed a bill last week that is expected to stabilize and expand New Jersey's solar detector by making solar power more affordable to the state's families and businesses. The bill increases New Jersey's renewable portfolio standard to 35% by 2025 and 50% by 2030. Coincidence? With an increased solar requirement of 5.1 instead of 4.1 by 2121. In addition, the bill establishes a process to deploy 600 megawatts of energy storage by 2021, which is set to increase by 2 gigawatts in 2030. Most significantly, the bill lays the groundwork for a statewide community solar program and provides community solar energy pilot program to be established by the end of 2018. With an annual capacity to be determined by the State Board of Public Utilities, within 3 years, the Community Solar Energy Pilot Program will be converted into a permanent program with the minimum annual goal of 50 megawatts. Again, the link will be in the description. It's just good to see that leaders in our country right now, especially in the individual states, are taking up legislation that's going to encourage people to go to solar power, because I've read a lot of things lately where a lot of people who are in the solar industry right now are being hung out to dry, and I think a lot of it has to do with not enough people are getting involved or getting on board with investing in solar. So with laws like this in place, where they're setting standards and they're pushing people to use solar energy, this is smart. This gives people a incentive to even try to use. And if they're going to lower the cost for the normal man and woman to be able to install solar power to their homes, just another way to save more money, of course. So I'm glad to see, and I hope other states in the United States take this action as well. Bacon in a Year Without Summer. This is a different little article here, written by Dr. Leanna Johnson-Paul. Now, the reason why I found this interesting, she writes from Canada Free Press, and she starts off with a little bit of a story, cooking some bacon, thinking about when she was a child, talking about how they didn't need refrigerators back then. They couldn't afford one anyway, that her father, when she was in 12th grade, they got a small refrigerator. They maybe kept a watermelon in there in the summertime and a bottle of milk, if lucky to find a liter to hold the milk into it. And, she goes into talking about how, mom shopped daily and they ate what she purchased. There was no leftovers. And this is painting a picture of kind of how it is in some remote areas. And when she starts off the article talking about volcanic winters are not something new, it says here, like everything else, shelves were bare as soon as the morning delivery was put on sale, and the long line of shoppers dissipated with their laden, expandable jute spring shopping bags. In wintertime, we had the windowsill for cool storage and plenty of ice and snow. And by the way, Canada is still 90% covered in snow right now. I could have bacon now every day if I wanted to, but I don't have to, because I believe that I can find it in any day in any grocery store, and I don't have to fight others like they do in socialist countries such as Venezuela's. We trust blindly that our local stores will always have a good stock of food every day. A realist, however, I know that most grocery stores have enough stock for 3 days, but who wants to have negative thoughts when this country is so rich and the shelves are cornucopia of abundance? Question mark? We have a fewer and fewer farmers, less than 3%, feeding 330 million. Nobody ever starves in America today, but they could in case of a terrible inclement weather. Now, I am going to say this. I understand what she means by people starving, but at the same time, hunger is one of the biggest worldwide problems. I don't care what country you're from. Even here in the United States, there is tons of hunger issues. So she might be speaking on the level of people actually starving to death. No, it's not third world country type stuff here, but still, I get the point. Finally, I'm going to read this real quick, and I'll just let you guys take over and look at the rest of it on your own, because they talk about the Little Ice Age as well. What if we would experience another year like 1816, also known as a year without summer? Major food shortages occurred across the northern hemisphere due to the massive 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora in the East Dutches of Indies, preceded by the 1814 eruption of Mayon in the Philippines. So she knows her stuff. She talks a little bit about the Tambor explosion. She also knows that volcanic winters are not something new. They've occurred across millennia, but nobody's keeping track. Then, evidence of inclement weather, disasters, and probable food shortage can be found, among others, in studies of soil and ice core samples. So just another article here. Good to see a writer who believes in science and understands that there is a process to these things. Highly recommend you guys check out this article for yourself. There's some useful information in here. Just a little bit of economic news here for the UK. I found it, and I'm sure that's not just the UK, but the volume of retail sales in the UK fell by more than expected during March as an unseasonably cold weather kept people indoors and out of the shops. And I can tell you right now, just from being here in the US, that exactly happened here as well. I can vouch for myself that I probably didn't go out and do a little bit extra shopping that I would probably normally do due to all the bad weather, the snow, the ice, the roads, the wind chills. Yeah, I stayed in and hunkered down. Retail sales fell by about 1.2% compared to the month before, according to data published by the Office for National Statistics. They forecasted a 0.6% fall. The decline in sales during March falls in both January and February, leaving the volume of sales down 0.5% lower in the first quarter than the year previous to 3 months. The steep fall in sales was due to a big drop in fuel sales. Petrol sales fell by 7.4% compared to February. And again, if people aren't leaving the house, there's nobody buying gasoline as well. So I'll leave the link in the description on this one as well. You can take a look at it. It's in the Financial Times magazine, or I should say website. And this is just a headline I kind of picked tonight because this is typical across the United States. People and plants are going to need to bundle up Thursday night. The National Weather Service has issued a freeze watch until 9 a.m. Friday, April 20th for much of the area west of the D.C. Frost and freeze can damage sensitive vegetation. The National Weather Service recommends taking precautions to protect vulnerable plants since the cold conditions could kill crops. This graph here indicates that we'll see temperatures at 32 degrees or below. High winds won't make matters any easier. Friday will still be breezy. Highs will only get into the mid-50s, but at least it will be sunny. So that's got to count for something, folks. Looking forward to that. Link is in the description as well. Almond disaster. One Northern California county thinks so after losing 40% of the crops. Now, we talked about this briefly a couple of different times, and I was shocked when I saw the actual numbers here. They're reporting a loss of 40%, and the estimate damage is going to be about $19,500,000. Now, they get this average based off the losses from the last 5 years, so they take the last 5 years of loss and average it out, and that's how they came up with that figure. But listen to this. 30% of the 62 farms in Tehama County face 30 to 39% crop loss, with another 30% facing 40 to 49% crop loss. 10% of the farms caught the worst of it, facing up to 79% crop loss. So that's huge. Out of the 62 counties, 10% facing 79% or more. And while we're talking about crops, we got some little bit of information about Georgia crops here. The weather in southwest Georgia has been a roller coaster, but what does that mean for the peach crop? Last year, Georgia experienced similar weather patterns, much like this year's and last year's. Georgia was expected to lose almost 80% of its peaches, although this year it is not expected to lose nearly as much, with only 20% projected to lose. Still, many are concerned. And last year, Mari brought this up for me before we started tonight's show. It wasn't so much of the cold winter, but the warm winter they had there too as well. So, it got warm enough, buds started coming out, and then we'd freeze, and it would just damage crops left and right. Fire engulfed standing sugarcane and wheat crops in Karnal village, and this is in India again. Now, guys, there's so much fire and crop loss damage, and I got another article I want to go into as well. The standing wheat and sugarcane crops around 50 acres of the land were gutted in a major fire that broke out in the fields of Gir village on Thursday morning. The fields belong to about 10 villagers. Now, this is 50 acres. That's a lot of land for 10 villagers, especially in this part of the world. The reason behind the fire incident is yet to be ascertained. Farmers who are standing crops have been gutted are in a state of shock as they have incurred losses worth of lakhs of rupees, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is over $1 million. I'll get more into the values here because I also am covering another article. Let me find that real fast. Here we go. Speaking of Indian rupees, this is kind of tricky for me. I don't know their money system that well, but I was going over this here, and farmers are asking for their money from 2016 and 2017. Now, they've paid their dues on this crop insurance, and it was stated that they pay about 1.5 Indian rupee, which that's about $200,000 in US dollars. Last year, a total of 33 crore, if I'm not saying that correctly, that is 33 million rupees. US dollars, that's $4 million, was distributed to 13,000 farmers by insurance companies. And the second phase, which is 8.818 crore, so that's somewhere right around, that's going to be under $1 million, by the way, was sanctioned to at least 5,748 farmers in the area. They're asking for their money. They pay 1.5 crore for their crop, and like I said, that runs them about $200,000 a year. So lots of people suffering from crop loss, and if they're not getting their payments from 16 and 17, they've got to be worried already for 2018 as well. Now, this is not a time travel here. It's just the 20th over there, but this article is dated for today, for tomorrow, for us anyway. And U.S. trade talks with China making Alabama farmers uneasy, as if we didn't have enough to worry about with the weather. The potential trade war that has been brewing between the United States and China has some Alabama farmers cautious about the future market of crops. As of now, we don't know what might happen, said Stuart McGill, who is a cotton, soybean, corn producer in North Alabama. This could be detrimental to producers or good for us. Either way, our marketing strategies are different this year. We have to watch the market and make the decision to either be aggressive or conservative. Jessica Kelton, an Alabama Extension Farm and Agribusiness Management Regional Agent, said soybean prices are already feeling the effects on the tariff, I should say. There was a soybean price drop after the announcement, which could hurt soybean producer profits if it does not improve. However, these prices could fluctuate a lot given that the market reacted to an announcement rather than an actual reduction in exports. I only wanted to mention this tonight because, like I said, it's bad enough that we've got some farmers in the South right now that are delayed on their planting season right now, and this is weighing very heavy on their minds. Now, the other day, I did some comments from this website, and their farmers were speaking out about what's going on down there. And, I was amazed at all the comments about no crops here. Everybody pretty much had the same attitude. Like, we are screwed. We're so late. We're so behind. The fields are a mess. Don't expect any profits this year. Don't expect record-breaking productions. And, I kind of felt offended for these farmers that made these comments. There was a gentleman that left a comment in our section, which I did not allow it, accusing these farmers of just trying to make the prices pop, so to speak. And, maybe 10 years ago, I could see that. I could see maybe those farmers are trying to make it sound, you're always going to tell everyone, I'm doing worse than what you don't want to tell anybody that you made $78,000 one day. I'm doing okay. And I kind of feel like that might have been the attitude 10, 15 years ago, but today is not the case. So I think people need to be a little bit more sensitive when it comes to, trying to accuse the intentions of some of these farmers out here, because as you see overseas in India and other third world countries that don't support their farmers with insurance, these people are suffering from depression or even suicide. So, again, if you're going to make a comment like that, I'm not going to approve it. I'm not going to allow that to be put on our channel. I think it's disrespectful and distasteful, especially to a dying breed of people here in the United States. And what I say by that is farmers. We are losing farmers every generation that comes up. And it's getting to the point now where, I understand where it's not beneficial for a family anymore to be a farmer. Like I said, there's so few and far in between out there that have aspirations to grow up and actually be a farmer when they grow up, because of all the negativity and all the uncertainty in the markets. So link will be in the description. Just check this article out. Just kind of a little FYI for everybody. Let's go on to some earthquake news here. We had a 5.1 earthquake hit near Bushehr nuclear power plant in Iran. It was a 5.9. It was only about 11.2 miles deep. This was on April 19th, about 6:34 UTC time. Of course, we have awesome stats from the watchers. Show us where the location is. This just happened?
Yeah.
This is breaking right now. What is that, Mari?
All right, Jake. I just wanted to butt in real quick because there was a very unusual earthquake that actually happened when we were just starting our live stream. Tammy actually brought it to my attention. It's only a 3.6, and it's saying that it happened off a little island like right off of Lake Erie between Cleveland and Detroit. It's considered Canada, apparently. I don't have that. I think it was called Amherstburg or something.
Okay.
Canada. And we have Tammy in our chat. She's in Detroit. She felt it.
Wow.
Very unusual. I'm reading I actually tweeted an article out that speaks about it. They're saying it's rare, but it's not unusual. I think it's very unusual. Rare and unusual to me seem the same. So the fact that they're saying it's rare but not unusual is sort of like, I don't know. I've lived in Buffalo. They're our neighbor. So I didn't feel anything. It didn't reach us. I'm looking at this map.
It was or anything?
It didn't make it across Lake Erie. It looks like some parts of Toledo might have felt a little bit of it. I don't have a map up on the screen for y'all to look at, but if you take a look at Twitter, click on the link. There's an article right there on it, and I will let you carry on with the watchers.
Yeah, it's not too far from Detroit if you're looking at a map.
No, the center was on a Canadian island right off of where I guess it's like it's in between Lake St. Clair and Lake Erie. So, yeah, that's where it was centered. Very close to Detroit. So definitely we have reports of people feeling that. Hopefully there wasn't any damage, but highly unusual area.
Yeah, maybe Kate will tell us if she felt anything too.
Yeah,
so
Radical Gardener
check
might have
in.
felt
If you're
it as
watching,
well.
let us know. The quake here in Iran, however, there was no damage to the plant. That was the main reason why I wanted to show this. Nobody has to worry. It was a shallow quake, but there was no damage. There's a nuclear power plant around the area. And I just wanted to report that all is well with that as far as that goes. Check that out on the watchers. Another shallow earthquake. This one did kill 3 people. Look at the destruction. My gosh. Shallow earthquake registered by Indonesia Agency of Meteorology, Climatology, and Geophysics hit 4.4 and was only about 2.4 miles deep. Now that's very shallow. Trying to see what the meter was as far as what they felt as far as anyone shaking. It says here the quake was felt by many parts of the province, killing 2 elderly people and a 13-year-old boy who was crushed by a collapsing building. 21 people were hospitalized with injuries. 316 houses, 4 mosques, and 2 school buildings were devastated. 2,100 people have fled home to evacuation centers. They've got over 200 soldiers and personnel that's been drafted for a search and effort rescue. Check out the watchers once again, folks. Great information. Tons of information and just some sad pictures coming out of the area right now as well. Jeez. Just from a 4.4, and that's only 2.4 miles deep. There you see a building just totally collapsed. All right, and Kilauea volcano. Magma system becomes increasingly pressurized here in Hawaii. Observations and measurements. They are watching this closely. Summit tilt meters recorded deflammatory tilt over the past 24 hours, leveling off this morning. The summit lava lake level is about 20 meters, which is 66 feet below the rim of the overlooked crater. A drop of about 7 meters since yesterday morning. Lava spattering is barely visible from the Jaeger Museum at this time. Seismicity in the summit area is within normal background rates with tremor amplitude fluctuations associated with lava lake spattering. Elevated summit sulfur dioxide emissions rates persist. So go to the watchers, check it out. Once again, the article and link is in the description. Some great stats here by watchers. They put together some great information. Also, guys, while you're at the watchers, speaking of volcanoes, they have their, well, they've already updated their site since I've been here. We've got another volcano that just went off as well. First time since let's check it out. First time since 1768. Volcano ejected ash high into the air, forcing Japan Meteorology Agency to raise the alert from a level 2 to a 3 out of 5. Restricting access to the volcano today marks the first time the JMA has raised the alert to 3 for this volcano. The agency said it had confirmed a scattering of volcanic rocks around the crater and added that it is possible that the volcanic activity will further increase. Residents and tourists are cautioned against falling rocks with 3 kilometers and pyroclastic flows within 2 kilometers from the crater. So this is just now breaking, folks, and I would show the video, but last time I did this, one of these Japanese channels banned us worldwide, so we're not going to touch that. But if you want, go ahead and check it out on the watchers where you won't get a copyright strike. But no, as I was saying, though, check out the watchers. Today they released their volcano report, and I'll go ahead and show you where that locates here. Maybe I was seeing things. Well, I thought it was out. I look silly. The volcano report. I thought it was already out. I could have swore earlier they had it out, but maybe they took it back down. All right, well, let's go check out some weather then, since I can't show you the volcano report. Those glorious warm temperatures. Let's go ahead and refresh this real quick. Make sure we get all the goodies here for the lower 48. That's not what I want. What happened here, Mari?
I'm doing it. I'm not paying attention very well today, Jake.
I'll let it slide, producer.
Like, I can't keep track of you.
I know.
Or the chat for some reason. Like my brain.
What is going on with you? You're fired.
Well, the thing is,
You're fired.
I did a lot of paperwork today.
She did.
I actually worked.
All right.
And it's my brain fried.
So checking out the weather here, we got a winter storm Yvonne forming up now nicely. Decent little moderate band of snow in Iowa, into Wisconsin, Minnesota. Once again, nothing major. Some snow and rain to the Ohio Valley, into Pennsylvania, into New York. Apparently, we are supposed to see some snow from this tonight. I'll tell you this, folks, it's cold enough. We look at the forecast into Friday. This moves off to the coast, into the Atlantic. Scattered snow showers throughout most of the day tomorrow, but those will too leave our area. And then here is that low pressure system that we've been tracking for a little while now that's supposed to bring some severe weather and flash flooding to the south. Now, looking at these runs, they've held up pretty good. Normally these things kind of fall apart as time goes on, and this particular storm for this weekend across the south is going to hold up pretty well. So we'll keep our eyes on any kind of severe outbreaks or any kind of flooding that's supposed to happen with that. And then we've got another low pressure system, and some folks are saying that this might be Zoe. However, I can't see how this one is going to quite form. And as we look into April 26th, lots of rain throughout the country, and I'm not seeing it. But it's early, guys. That can change within a matter of days. We know how the weather is. But what's impressive here is on May 3rd in the northern part of New England, we're seeing chances for snow. Wow. So again, the weather, not much has changed since the last couple forecasts that I've given. The outlook remains the same. We've got this next system coming our way. That is Yvonne right here. She'll be here this weekend in the Northeast and should be gone by Monday. Completely gone. Actually, it'll be earlier than that, by the middle of the weekend, Saturday. So unless... I can't see a possibility, and I hope I'm not jinxing us, but let's hope that Yvonne is the last storm that we have to see. I know there's a lot of rumbling going around that there possibly could be a AA winter storm name this year still. So anything is possible. So far, 2018 has showed us that, no doubt. So anyway, Mari,
Oh my God.
how are we doing?
Listen, Jake, our chat's insane right now. Hi, everyone in the chat. You're asking me about chemtrails. Now, my stance might be a little bit different than Jake's, but I believe they exist on a smaller scale than what most people do. Geoengineering is technically something that's out there that they can do. On what scale is the big question, and my stance is people need to be a bit more objective on the topic, because there are things like contrails, there is stuff like cloud nucleation and cosmic rays coming in, and we all have to zoom out, not be so emotional with the topic, and just be objective. That's all I'm going to say about it. So, love you all. Have a good night.
I don't know what the heck that was about, but apparently there's somebody in there talking about chemtrails or whatever. I don't know.
Like, because people are like, you're lying. And I'm like,
well, ignore them.
What? No, they're saying you're lying about something.
No,
like, what? About
hold on. I could care. I'm going to say this loud and clear on the Grand Solar Minimum channel. If you think there's chemtrails, that's great. I don't think there's chemtrails out there like some of you folks think out there. And if you think I'm a liar, exit the channel. I mean, that's just insanity.
But we never said that geoengineering isn't real.
No, geoengineering is real. John Casey even talks about that, but it's on a smaller level.
You have to be objective. And my thing with people involved with the whole chemtrail fiasco is the emotions involved. I don't want to be involved in anything chemtrail debate-wise, because people are too emotionally involved with it to the point where they're not objective. That's why I just don't want to touch it. And if you feel like we're a little bit off on it, it's because we don't want to get into like this big emotional debate, because it's, people are unwilling to be objective.
I'm going to make it simple right here. It's the Grand Solar Minimum channel. We don't talk about chemtrails because that's not what this channel is about. This channel has no section whatsoever dedicated to chemtrails. So when it comes to accusations of possibly lying about chemtrails, that's just false. I'm not lying about chemtrails because I'm not talking about chemtrails. Nobody's mentioning chemtrails because there's a lot of us here in this community that do not believe in chemtrails on the level that some of these folks believe it in. And I'm going to say this clearly. We are noticing so many contrails in the atmosphere because we've never been alive to see the atmosphere temperatures as cold as it is. Think about the engines on these jets, the temperature from the exhaust mixing with that cooler air in the atmosphere, causing what moisture is up there to attach to cosmic rays and other particles in our atmosphere, forming these contrails, making these contrails expand and hanging out in the clouds a lot longer than what we used to see when we were younger. Contrails have been around for years, folks. We've just never seen them to this extent because we've never seen the increase of cosmic rays like we've seen right now. And that's what's creating all this film, this light haze that's in front of the sun when you watch it go down. That's why we're seeing these sun halos, because of all the cloud nucleation and the haze from the cosmic rays and the thin clouds that are being created, reflecting ice crystals off of these clouds. We could go on probably for another hour talking about atmospherics. But folks, please, if you believe in chemtrails, that's your belief. But I ask that we keep the accusations of lying about chemtrails to a minimal zero, for the fact that this channel only studies the science of the Grand Solar Minimum. Anything else outside of that is taboo for me because I don't study that stuff. So hopefully I didn't come off as too much of a snob on that one. But I'm kind of really firm on the whole chemtrailing thing. I used to follow a group of people that believed it happened on a daily basis. They look up in the sky and they see all these flight patterns, and they don't realize they live right next to an airport. With colder atmospheric temperatures and increased cosmic rays, they're going to see a lot more contrailing. So, but some people, you can give them the science all day long and give them the answers, and they don't want to wake up. Can't do anything for those folks. If they don't want the help, you can't force feed them. Just let them think what they want, I guess.
One guy says he's going to invite all his friends to come here and troll us now.
Oh, that's fine. We can block them all.
Thanks for the views.
So, hey, just know this, folks. This channel has grown so much, and we've seen so many different kinds of people. You got to remember, the bigger you get, the more haters you'll find, and that's fine.
Haters gonna hate, lovers gonna love.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and share, and we will talk soon.